Continuing with our theme in Chapter 3 of formatting your document, we're going to continue making some changes using the ruler. We've already covered how to change your margins in the ruler, and then we covered tabs and indents. We did basic left and right indents, so those can be either done on the page layout tab right here, left indent and right indent, or you can drag them on your ruler. So a little bit of review for that. To drag your left indent marker, which is the square that resides right at the left margin, if I hover over that square, you see it says left indent, and to make a left indent of 1/2 inch, I only have to click and drag it over 1/2 inch into my margin. I can do the same with the right indent marker over here by the right margin, click and drag it in. I believe we said in class that if I do that while holding down the Alt key, you can see how far you're moving it in. So typically this type of indent is done if you're writing a paper and you want to offset a quote. So again, the square is the left indent marker, and you have to drag that to set a left indent, and this little triangle is the right indent marker. Now moving down to the next paragraph, setting a first line indent of 1 inch. You typically, if you want to indent your paragraph 1/2 inch, you would generally just press the tab key for a first line indent of 1/2 inch, because Word automatically has tabs set every 1/2 inch. However, if you wanted to set a first line indent of something other than 1/2 inch, let's say 1 inch, you are going to drag your first line indent marker from the ruler, and that is the triangle over here that points down. And if I hover over that, it says first line indent, so I'm going to click and drag it over to the 1 inch mark. And notice that I don't have to have the whole paragraph selected. I just have to have my insertion point somewhere within that paragraph that I want to affect with the first line indent. So that is the first line indent. You drag it into whatever position you would like on the ruler. Notice that the left indent stays in place. Moving on down to the next paragraph, you'll notice this heading says hanging indent of 1/2 inch. Now a hanging indent is where the first line of the paragraph is at the left margin, and every other line in the paragraph is indented to wherever you set your hanging indent. These are most often used, you'll be familiar with them from bibliographies. So again, I make sure my insertion point is within the paragraph, and I'm going to hover over the hanging indent marker on the ruler. And that is the triangle that points up. It's right above the left indent marker. As you see, I'm pointing at it, and it is identifying as a hanging indent right now. So if I click and drag, I'm going to bring it in 1/2 inch. You will note on this particular indent that the left indent marker travels with the hanging indent marker. So here's my hanging indent. What it looks like. The first line is at the left margin. Every other line in the paragraph is indented to where we drag the hanging indent. If you would want to do this not with the ruler but in a dialog box, you can go to the Home tab and click the Paragraph dialog box launcher, and here's the indentation section. You've got left and right margins, left and right indents, excuse me, that you could set here, or you can click the drop down and you see the first line and the hanging indent indicator right here, and then you can specify the position where you would like those indents to be placed. And by the way, if you go to the Page Layout tab, this is the paragraph grouping. If I click this Paragraph dialog box launcher, it's the same dialog box that pops up. So you can access this same dialog box from different tabs. That is a brief overview of left and right indents, first line indents and hanging indents. So it's very important that you are familiar with these symbols on your ruler. If you kind of mess up and you need to move these, just so that you know, I'm going to drag this left indent back to the left margin. It sort of pushes the first line indent. So if you're ever doing that in practice and it gets kind of out of whack, you're going to have to drag the first line indent marker back to where it should be. And that is it for today.